Break it down,
So,
Mr. Gary Gosson.
Our very first guest is author Aquanetta Gordon. She is the author of Eccles of an Angel. Gordon has appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and television programs around the world with her son, Ben Underwood. She continues to share inspirational stories about raising Ben, a blind boy who was known as the boy who could see with sound. With him, Gordon co-founded the Ben Underwood Foundation to assist disadvantaged teens. Gordon continues to speak about her life with Ben at personal empowerment seminars, churches, and other events around the United States. Gordon was also chosen by the United Way in Sacramento to speak on behalf of the organization and share her story with corporate leaders. She is a native of Southern California who has raised 5 children, and Gordon currently lives here in Sacramento. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Black Talk Sacramento, Miss Aquanetta Gordon. Yeah. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome.
To share.
Well, you know what? I am excited to have you here, too, because this book has been around for a minute, but people still talk about it. Can you tell us about Eccles of an Angel and what it's all about?
Well, this story is about, I have 5 children. It's about my 4th child. His name is Ben. Ben actually was diagnosed with cancer at age 2, and it's called retinoblastoma. And it is a child cancer, and it was in the eyes. And in that cancer, the process of that cancer, in order to save his life, they had to remove his eyes. Mm-hmm. So that was in 94. Ben became blind. He woke up from his surgery, and he was always this very energetic, athletic little kid, and very smart. At age 1, he's my walking phone book. He woke up from his surgery at 2 years old, and he said, "Mom, I can't see anymore. I can't see anymore." He said, "Oh, I can't see anymore." I said, "Baby, yes, you can see." And I took his little hands and I put them on my face. I said, "See, you can see me with your hands." And I took put my hand to his nose. I said, "Smell me. That means you can see me with your nose." And I took his little ears and I kind of pinched them and said, "You hear me? That means you can see me with your ears." I said, "You don't have your eyes anymore, but you could see." And we walked across the street, and Ben stepped up on the curb, and I thought, okay, Lord, the boy never stopped seeing, even without eyes. Mm.
So, I met Ben when he was, maybe
13
years old? The first time I saw Ben I walked into church, and there was this kid, the music was playing. I always sat in the back, but there's this kid jumping up and down in the front. He was dancing as if he didn't care. One thing I learned from Ben taught me that there was no such thing as, he didn't have racism in his bones. And I asked him why. He said because he couldn't see. Mm. He couldn't see who he was talking to, so that made it possible for him to have an open heart. Mm. And so when I had the small chance to meet this kid, he gave me a chance to understand what it was like to really see. Mm. And see not with my eyes, but to be able to see with my heart. Mm-hmm. So what do you think Ben's message was to people?
That was the message. So many times we use our eyes to judge people, judge what you have on, what type of car you're driving, and we don't even realize what life is all about. And as his mother, he taught me that same thing, but truly how to love unconditional, because that's one thing that God tells us to do, to love each other unconditional, and that's exactly what Ben did.
So was it hard for you to write this book?
No, it wasn't hard at all. I had so much stuff is not in the book that, because it is a Christian book, and things that people wouldn't naturally believe would happen that were supernatural things, because I tell people Ben could see. There are certain times where Ben said, "Mom," when he would meditate, he called it dozing, he'd meditate on the word. He was actually memorizing the Bible. He almost had Matthew memorized. He could see, and Ben could describe people, but a lot of people wouldn't believe something like that is possible. I even had a man tell me, on the phone one time, he said, because Ben used what was called echolocation. So he saw what scientists would call seeing with sound, like bats and dolphins. So he rode bikes, he skated, Ben played video games. Of course, you couldn't click a video game. Kids swore he cheated because they couldn't beat him. Mm. So, but Ben was very competitive.
Very
there
much.
was nothing that Ben couldn't do.
Much.
But to see him and to understand that, what life was about, he just taught so many people.
So was he taught to see with sound, or was this something that he picked up naturally? How did he learn?
You know what? It was a God thing, but one thing in the waiting room, when he was having his eyes removed, the Lord spoke 3 things to my heart. that Ben would live and not die. He would see again, and it wasn't for me. Didn't quite understand it wasn't for me, but I knew he was going to see. So I never told him he couldn't see. I always said, go play, watch for cars, look where you're going, and hold your head up and look people right in the eye. So I would say, Ben, come over here. I'd let him go see everything. We only used visual words. We didn't use, go touch this, feel this. Go look at this, go in my room and look under my bed and get whatever pair of shoes I wanted him to get. For some reason, he was the only child of mine that could find anything because the rest of them couldn't see nothing. But so we didn't use, the what people say, oh, feel this or look at it. It was go get whatever. So I always told him, hold your head up, look people right in the eye when you're talking to them, sit up straight. I didn't want him to pick up any blind gestures, and that's what he did. So, people would talk, Ben, turn and look at him, and people would trip out. When he played his Game Boy, his DS, he'd sit up straight and he'd look down at the game. So when the Lord had told me that, I believed that he was going to see. So I had an expectation of him seeing. So it wasn't, so it was normal for me to see him riding the bike, going off a jump in the middle of the street. I just told him, don't come in here crying because you're going to get a whooping if you do.
Such a black mama. That's what black mamas do. Right? Like, I'll whoop your butt if you come in here talking
you better not come in here
You bet not.
You bet. For our listeners out there, the book is about 270 pages. And I'm talking about the Eccles of an Angel. The publishers here, the Tyndale House Publishers. And this book just came out what year?
It was last year.
Last year. And
April.
It was along with Chris Macias, I believe, down to Sacramento Bee.
Yes.
What was his involvement in?
Chris Macias and Tyndale's the publisher. Chris writes for the Sacramento Bee.
Right.
And so it's really done very, very professional. It was edited like, wow, unbelievably edited. So it's really written well. And
he wrote a few stories on them before this book ever came out. Chris, that is. He wrote a few stories.
Actually, the first, Cynthia Hubert was the first person that came out from the Bee.
Also from the Bee?
Yes, that did the first story. Mm-hmm. See, when the Lord had told me it wasn't for me, I didn't understand that part. And one day, the doctor, because we came to Sacramento in 95, and I made sure I had everything set up. And so we went to the doctor then. And then I hadn't heard anything from the doctor because he didn't have eyes. He went to the eye doctor. And I don't know, about 6 or 7 years later, he sent a card in the mail, and he told me to bring him in so he can check the orbits of his eyes and make sure everything was good. So I brought him in, and when they called us in the room, Ben was sitting in one chair and I was sitting in the other, and Ben was looking down at his Game Boy. He was playing the game. And so the doctor walked in the room, and he looked at Ben, and he went back out and asked the girl, where's my patient? And she says, well, that's your patient in there. And so he came back in. He didn't look at us. He walked between us. And he went over to the chart, and he looked at the chart, and he looked over at Ben, and he walked over to Ben. He didn't say anything, and I'm watching him. And Ben just kept playing the game, looking down at it. And the doctor got over his shoulder to see, was he really playing the game? Then he kind of knelt down and looked up into his eyes to see, was he really looking at it? Then he turned his head to me, totally puzzled. And he says, well, his eyes are enucleated, right? And I said, yeah, he's blind. He said, well, how is he playing the video game? And I thought, well, he's a kid. He played video games, ride bikes, what is he supposed to do, And he said, oh, no, this is impossible. He said, we got to get him on Oprah right now. And from that moment, that's when he called. Well, they told him at the hospital that he needed to get the media and get a story written, and that's what he did. And then from there, Ben went all over the world.
And that was basically to talk about his unique qualities that Ben had.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, you can Google him or YouTube Ben Underwood, and it's just all kind of stuff.
Kind of thing.
Oh yeah, he came into the Observer a few times. I believe one of our photographers, named Felicia Rule, used to bring him in, and outstanding kid, very mannerable. I can see how you picked it up from you just by you speaking on the air here, and we had some great conversations in there, and you just would never know.
Oh yeah,
you just wanted the world for this young man.
Yeah. And, being his mother, it was so amazing because he really, truly was an old soul. I mean, sometimes I thought, okay, boy, you don't know more than me. Look, stay at your level. But to understand, yeah, he did. But to understand the purpose, because each and every one of us are born with a purpose. Yes. It's not happenstance, and I didn't understand everything until hindsight, and I truly thank God for all my experiences, even being his mom.
That brings me to my question. Writing this book, how has it helped or changed you? It's grown me up so much because in this whole process,
course, Ben went around the world. He went to Germany, Japan, Amsterdam. He was the only person in the world to use echolocation, self-taught. Now, it wasn't something that he was taught.
So what did that mean, echolocation?
It's clicking.
Oh, he used clicking sounds.
Yes, like bats and dolphins.
Okay.
It's a sound wave that came back to his ears.
Okay.
So he could walk across the street, step on the curb. He can walk in crowds. I mean, he
could walk through doorways without hitting the jam.
And he just clicks along, and then he'll find out, how far something is.
Sound will bounce back to him.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So I even asked him, because I was curious about it. Well, he had to do what everybody else did. He had to clean up, and so he did everything. And then when the Oprah show came, they put a glass on the table. And this is the first time I really paid attention to what he was actually doing. He just did what he was supposed to do. And so they had a glass on this glass table, and so Ben clicks around the table. He goes. That's the sound that he made. He taught me how to do it. And he clicks and he says, well, it's right there. And it's a glass. Kind of blew people away because it's like he knew exactly where it was and what it was, So
that's amazing.
It was more than
very amazing. Yeah.
It was, and even when he was little, when Miss Barbara, who was his Braille instructor when we first came to Sacramento, and he did have a cane at first. Well, they had, made him a cane, teach him how to use it. But he was already walking without a cane, so he would walk and he touched the end of the fence. And he goes, oh, there's the end of the fence. Now, he's 4 years old. And Miss Barbara said, oh, okay, what is this kid doing? And he says, okay, Ben, there's 3 cars parked on the side of the road. Tell me when you get to my car. And so they walk, and he goes, here's the first car. Well, actually, that's not a car, that's a truck. And she thought, okay,
Right.
So he was at a whole nother level,
right? Yeah,
because it was more than just clicking. It was a God thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a prolific skateboarder too?
All of that.
He was
shoot a 3-point shot in a basketball.
Basketball, everything.
Well, you know what it reminds me of is that when the sound waves bounces off things, it also creates a image. Of things that if you bombard enough sound off of things, it will actually make an image that you can use. I mean, they use sound from telescopes too, where they have the radio telescopes and stuff, where they pick up sounds from space. So it makes total sense that you can use sound that way to actually map out your environment. It's very cool.
He was good at it.
And this is something
it's very
common in visually impaired people where they're hearing. Heightened.
Right, yeah.
It does, but it was, for Ben, it was something different because he taught himself to listen. It was more than just that. It was like the brain. He says, like, we're in an airplane. You can hear the radio frequencies in the air.
Yes.
Yeah, he sounds like
but
he was beyond
normal.
Just listening.
Yeah, he was.
He was able to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that was one of the things, like being a mom, you like the kids were out on the street and we lived on a cul-de-sac. And so all the kids are playing, they're on their bikes, they're doing all kind of stuff. And before a car would turn the corner, Ben would get out of the street. Well, the other kids didn't move until they saw the car actually on them.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? They need to pay attention to Ben because he was more safe. So when Ben moved,
you know what that sounds like. Wait a minute, no, you know what that sounds like. That sounds like Daredevil. Have you seen Daredevil on Netflix? That's what it sounds like.
But a lot of people, they
because he's blind, right? But he totally
he's
like a superhero. Yeah,
but he was that kid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, one time actually,
a real life Daredevil,
right at camp when they would go to the church camp, and. One of I forget the sister's name, but she was telling about this story where it was at night and they wanted to go down to the cross where they go and pray, all these teenage kids. And so they're following Ben in the dark, okay? But Ben said, okay, you guys don't go that way because there was a bear over this way. So everybody stayed with Ben and he took them directly to exactly right to where the cross was, down the hill in the dark where nobody else could see.
Yeah.
But he was that guy.
Yeah. I could totally, that's like.
Well, a lot of the kids he was a hero to a lot everywhere
Yeah.
A lot of kids still talk about Ben.
Yes.
I mean, I myself personally still talk about Ben. I carry Ben with me everywhere I go, because this kid was, to know him.
Well, really he's definitely an inspirational.
Oh, man. Okay.
Figure, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just to,
Okay, he had some pretty famous friends. Who was his friend?
Well, of course he met Oprah and Ellen.
But no.
But
his
homeboy. Buddy was Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
Yeah, so even, actually we met Stevie. This company from England wanted Ben to promote their product here in the United States called Dolphin because they use JAWS here for blind. And so they sent us to this place called CSUN. And Stevie Wonder was there. And I I went up to Stevie and I said, "Hi, Mr. Wonder. My name is Aquanetta. I have a son that's blind. His name is Ben Underwood." Stevie said, "Oh, I want to meet Ben. I want to meet Ben." And I'm thinking, "Okay, dude, wait a minute." I said, "Ben, get over here. You know, thinking you're the celebrity." And he met Ben. He loved Ben, and they hit it off. They became buddies. He came out to Ben's 16th birthday party.
Yes.
Yep.
And he even came out and went to the doctor with us. And then Ben, his cancer came back in 2007, and he passed away in 2009. He actually died on Dr. Martin Luther King's holiday, January 19th.
And he was buried on his 17th birthday.
Yes. But that day was the holiday of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes.
The next day was the inauguration of Obama.
Right.
And then Ben was buried on his 17th birthday. So I waited till Wednesday to call Stevie because I didn't want to interrupt him, because he really loved Ben. They were actually going to make a mama song for me because the boy sang, did music. There was nothing Ben didn't do. And when I called Stevie, he started crying. He said, "Well, why didn't you tell me? I would have made an announcement," because he was performing that Monday. And I said, "Well, I didn't want to interrupt your time, and I didn't want him to be sad on that day." And he said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Well, if you could come, I'd like for you to sing the birthday song." And he said, "Well, I want to do more than that." I said, "Well, you do whatever you want to do."
You still want to.
Right. And Brother Jerry was there, and he did a little eulogy, and he talked about how he met, because he was really excited to meet me.
The most amazing thing about this day at this service was, I was at the house earlier. I was brought in to do photos of the event.
Right.
And so I'm at the house and everything is cool. And I said, "Okay, Aqua, I'm going to leave. I'll meet y'all there. I'll be there when you get there." So I walk out the door and this limousine comes around the corner. And I didn't pay any attention. I thought this was a limousine for the family. Well, the door opens up and out steps Stevie Wonder. So I'm trying to hold my composure. I'm trying to act like, And so I walked past him. I said something like, "Hey, Mr. Stevie." And I kept walking, right? But the most amazing thing was when he got up to sing in church, he's playing around on this piano for a minute. Then he says, "It's amazing when you have vision and you can't see." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then Stevie Wonder, that day he wasn't Stevie Wonder. He was Steve Lynn Morrison.
Yes, it was.
And he put aside the Stevie Wonder part and he just sang as if he was a member of the church. And this man sang like I had never heard him sing before. And it was like, yeah.
And he sang "I Won't Complain."
Yeah. And it was like
that song
amazing.
so fit Ben.
Yeah.
Because not only did Ben teach me how to live, to not see what we see with sight, but to see through the heart.
Yeah.
The boy taught me how to die. But not once did he complain about, "I don't want to die." He was so excited about going because he could see beyond sight that he taught me how to do it. He didn't take morphine. And I'm his mom. And, I just thank God because, it wasn't sad for me.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Since you're here and I haven't said it before, I thought you were amazing because I watched you go through this. And you and Ben were like homegirl and homeboy.
Yeah, that's my bud.
Y'all hung out together like brothers and sisters more than mother and son. And even though he was going through what he was going through, you never let him see you go through it.
Oh, no.
And I thought that was amazing that you were able to handle that. I don't know what happened behind doors and when you were by yourself, but when you were in public and you and Ben were swinging, it was amazing.
I know. You know what? I did that at work as well. Nobody never knew what I was carrying because it was something I had to carry. And it was something that God wanted me to carry with him and not give it to anybody else.
Yeah.
So it was a process that I had to go through, and I thank God for that because when I did have to have my time, I went in my room and I had a fit and I talked to God like he was right there. I said, "Okay, Lord, then you come take him to the doctor because I can't do this no more. Let me see you driving and you hear what the doctors have to say." And the Lord, all he gave me was his prayer and complete peace that his will be done in this situation. So when Ben did take his last breath, all I could say was, "Okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this?" I literally had to ask the Lord for tears about a month later because I didn't feel that sadness or that missing him. And I was like, "Okay, Lord, I want to miss him."
He had walked you through
completely.
And he was fine. So,
Completely. And it was like to know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
And this is not, joking. It's just to know that he is in a place without a shadow of a doubt that I know that he's at a place with perfect peace.
Yeah.
That we're all striving to get to,
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing, the joy in my life is to know that.
Leave without regret.
Exactly.
Right.
And to see him do it. No, Ben just told me we had come back from Japan and his head was hurting. And the dates were so significant too in this process. So it was on a Saturday, and I said, "Well, when we get back, Ben, we were in the airplane, and I said we'll go to the hospital." Well, after the plane landed, he felt better. He said, "Mom, we can just go tomorrow," which was after church, which was Mother's Day, May 7th, 2007. And so we went after church. Well, he went home with one of the girls. She brought him home, and then we went to the hospital. They took him right in, and they did a CAT scan. And they came back and showed me the film, and they said, well, it looked like his brain was hemorrhaging. And we were thinking he had a sinus infection. And I thought, oh, Lord, here we go again. Now, at this time, he's 15. Ben get on the phone, start calling his friends. Hey, guess what? I'm in the hospital. My brain's leaking. I said, Ben.
And that's how he was.
Yeah. I said, baby, you can't tell people that. I said, Ben, this could be serious. He said, okay, Mom. I said, no, baby. This might be cancer again. He said, and I said, Ben, you might die. He said, you just be ready to meet me there. Just like that. I said, okay, Lord, let's do it.
And he would. The thing that was crazy was he would do things. He didn't wear glasses.
No, well,
he wouldn't wear glasses.
Or shades.
He want you to see, or see. He want you to check him out. And he'd look at you. It was like, okay, but he was actually, to me, it was just getting people ready. Yeah. I'm going through something, y'all. I want you to see that it ain't that bad.
Exactly.
It was a great thing. It was a great, and I thank you. I thank you for Ben. It's like, thanks.
And I thank God. I thank God that he chose me. I don't know why. I'm like, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do from here, But I don't really totally understand the purpose of why he chose me, because that was
moving.
Ben's purpose. When it was like, I don't know if there was really, I think he chose me because he knew I'd whoop him, with a blind kid. Go play, watch for cars. And it was not, there was things I had to turn my back on because I didn't want to see him get hurt. He never complained. One thing he said to me in the hospital, he said, Mom, I got one confession. And I said, what, baby? Thinking he's going to tell me something. He said, well, him and his friends, when they were little, they went somewhere on bikes and he got hurt. And they had to carry him home. I said, well, what happened? He said he didn't remember, but it was really bad. And they had to carry him home. And I thought to myself, what did I do? Because he never told me. What if he needed to go to the hospital? Right. Just to see that he was so confident.
But he was still a boy, though.
He was still a boy, yeah.
He was still a boy.
I used to say, anybody ever seen
Yeah.
I thought, anybody ever seen a bad blind kid? I have a bad blind kid. He's jumping off cars and doing all kind of crazy things, but...
Right.
I'm grateful I wouldn't have had him any other way to experience.
It sounds
life.
astonishing.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by the story. It's like a modern day daredevil. I mean, my goodness, he could just use echolocation to find out where everything is. Not only map his environment, but also locate objects.
Right.
Objects, people,
and that's, to me, that's amazing to be like, okay, there's a glass right there on the table. That is amazing, and then can distinguish between trucks and cars, and to me, that's astonishing.
He would see me, and he'd say, "I'd say, hey Ben, how you doing?" He said, "Come here," and I'd come. He said, "Let me see your hand." And he'd feel my hand. He'd feel my ring. Oh yeah, that's you. So he was like that.
So did he ever have a girlfriend? That's what.
That was one of the things that I thought.
Probably had a few of those.
He had
loved him. Yes, he did. And even before TV. Yeah, even before TV, because Ben was a communicator.
Okay.
See, Ben knew how to talk. Most boys at that age don't know how to talk, but Ben knew how to talk.
He knew how to communicate. Right.
Yes,
right.
and girls, young girls, they want somebody to talk to.
In touch with their feelings.
Yeah, exactly. No, because I've spoken with United Way. I've spoken at different places, and I had one gentleman said, "Oh my God, you're Ben's mom." He said Ben would come to his house, and him and his daughter would sit on the porch, and he would listen out. He would open the door a little bit and listen to what they're talking about, and he couldn't believe the wisdom and the things that Ben would tell his daughter when she was having, difficulties or hard times. He would always inspire her or talk to her, and I thought, wow, I don't even know who this man is or where he lives.
Right.
But Ben just did his own thing, and I just expected. I trusted him that he was.
Well, you learned a lot after the fact. After he was gone, you learned a lot from people because they told you things.
Yeah,
that you
because
didn't know.
they wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
This is my experience with him, and this is my experience with him, and so you got a whole other look at it.
Right. He had a life.
Great.
He had a life outside.
He had a big life.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
He did. And one thing what I'm so grateful for is because with all of the experience that I had, and I've got videos from everywhere, YouTube. I even got them in Japanese videos that I can't even understand what they're saying, But I have all these things that even today I could still look at them and see him.
That's right. He's still here.
Yes, but that's something I'm like, wow, that would be so amazing. Most people would do that, and if they get that opportunity to videotape your loved ones, and so you can always have those memories, And I'm just so grateful for that because I could see it anytime I want.
It's forever. It's a forever thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
cool.
he's in a psychology book. They use him all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. They studied him. And Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, so we want to thank Ms. Aquanetta Gordon for coming to
Aquanetta, yes.
And once
Sacramento.
again, that book, Eccles of an Angel, please go out and get it because
it's right here at
stories.
Underground Books. You could buy it. How much is it? How much is the book?
I think it's $15.99.
$15.99, folks. Eccles of an Angel. Please get this book.
Come on out here and buy the book and learn of
true
this
story of a boy who lost his eyes but could still see. Echoes of an Angel.
and read this wonderful testimony of a amazing, astonishing
Hero.
story of a boy that, oh my God, can you imagine? A modern day Daredevil to my mind, man.
He went around the world. I haven't did that yet, so did a lot more this
I know,
time than
met
I did.
Oprah. Okay.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Oprah.
You know?
Yeah.
Some people wait a lifetime for that. Some people don't even see that in a lifetime.
Okay.
And you know what was so
Crazy
amazing?
to Oprah, you done made it.
He also could surf, y'all.
He could surf.
Yeah.
He was a surfer.
He was a surfer.
Well, you know, we went to Hawaii too.
He was doing too much.
But wait a minute. So wait, you know, I'm his mama, and I told him I got behind him because you know we got the news there, and I said, "Okay, Ben, don't embarrass me. You better get on that board and ride it." So his first time up on the wave, on that board, he got up and rode that wave all the way out.
Oh, really?
Yes, he did.
Oh, right. He didn't want to make his mom embarrassed.
That's right.
You better not drop off that surfboard.
Don't you fall, boy. Don't you fall.
You better not fall.
You got to come home.
My poor baby didn't have a chance. He had to.
Okay,
right.
very good.
So let's all give her a round of applause for coming, Ms.
Thank you,
Aquanetta Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing story.
My soul sister.
All right, my soul brother.